All right, so today I'm reviewing the Crooked Path Rogue electric bike, and this bike has a normal price of $16.99, but I've mostly seen it on sale for like $15.99. And what the owners told me about this bike is what they're trying to do is give you a very affordable bike in the e-bike world, but also still give you some really good quality components that doesn't make you feel like you're getting a cheap electric bike. And I think they have achieved that with this. Now, this bike does come in two different versions, a step-through model like the one I have here, and also a non-step-through model. Now, this bike is also a folding electric bike. So basically on the handlebars and also on the main center tube, you have two different places where you just unlatch them, and then now you're able to fold them at the joints. And now you're able to make this bike a very compact bike to be able to allow you to put it in the trunk of your car, or if you are storing it indoors, it's not going to take up as much space because you are able to fold it in half. And as far as weight without the battery, it does come in at 60 pounds, but if you do have the battery on the inside, it does weigh around like 67 pounds or so. So one thing about the battery is that it is removable, obviously, as I just told you. Now you can choose to just take the battery indoors to charge it, or if you are trying to load it up in your car, it can just be a little bit easier for you to pick up the entire bike. Now you do need to insert one of the two included keys in the keyhole at the bottom of the bike to insert and remove the battery. Now, if you have been looking at other folding e-bikes, you can probably tell that the frame of this bike isn't really too different from the standard type of folding frame out there, but I will say that the folding mechanisms and stuff and the latches have been very smooth as far as my process of just folding and unfolding this bike. But I'm really liking the paint job on it. It's pretty solid. It doesn't seem like it's going to chip very easily. It's very easy to clean off if it does get dirty. And you have the Crooked Path logo on the side, but you really don't have a lot of other logos and stickers and stuff. So it's a pretty nice, clean looking bike. Now, even though most of the cables aren't internally routed, you can see here from the front all the way down to the bottom, the cables are going to be nicely wrapped and tight, but they are going to be on the outside of the bike, which with the folding bike, that's really not that uncommon. But I will say everything is tightly wrapped where it needs to be. Now, this bike is going to be made for riders that fall into the height range between 5 feet and 6 feet 4, which is going to be a lot of people. So if you're short, you're tall, this bike should be good for you. And as far as adjustability, you can raise and lower this seat pretty high and pretty low depending on what you're looking for. And also the handlebars are able to be raised up and down, not as much as the seat post, but it will be adequate for most people. Oh, and as far as the seat is comfortable, it is wide enough for someone of my size. And that's one of my biggest complaints with e-bikes sometimes is that they ship the seats that are just too small and skinny. But this seat has been comfortable for me. I didn't really have the urge to want to swap it out, so that is good. But one thing with the handlebar grips, I will say that they are probably the cheapest feeling component on this bike. They don't really have that much grippiness to them. And also they're just kind of like, they feel like a hard plastic. I don't know if it's exactly what that is, but that will be probably one of the things that I will switch out on the bike later on. But everything else on the handlebars I am liking. So you do have a twist throttle on the right hand side, and to the left of that you will find a really good quality Shimano shifter. Is one of the better ones for this price range that you can find typically on bikes. And then you also have an included smartphone holder. So it basically has a button that allows it to pop out, and then now you can put your smartphone in. But then this also is able to charge your phone at the same time, because you do have a USB type A port at the bottom of this holder, and the holder is wired to the battery already. So now you can find like a little short USB type A to a lightning or a USB-C cable on Amazon. And if I remember, I'll put a link down below in the description of ones that I use. And then now you can charge your phone while you are riding. And then on the left hand side of the handlebars, you will find a basic display. It gives you all the information that you need. It does perform well in sunlight, and also it does have some backlit buttons that will be good for using at nighttime. And then to the left of that, you will find a bell. Now, let me double back for a second and talk about using the twist throttle, because sometimes the knuckle of my thumb would actually brush against one of the paddles for the shifter. So definitely in the next version of this bike, I want to see a little bit more space between the twist throttle and the shifter controls. Oh, and I forgot to mention this earlier with the design, but one thing I don't like is the Class 2 label that's on this bike is upside down for some reason. Now, this bike also does come with a pretty good rear rack that can support up to 50 pounds of weight on it. So it's nice to have an included rear rack with this. Oftentimes you have to add that on as an extra around this price point. And overall, this bike can handle a maximum weight of 340 pounds. Now, also on the front of the bike, you will find a 300 lumens headlight, and I'm really happy with the output. I don't do a lot of nighttime riding, but I would be happy with this. And then also on the back, you will find the tail light that also is a brake light. So when you do press down on the brake levers, it will flash. And also underneath the brake light, you will find a license plate holder. And if that wasn't enough for the $16.99 price tag, you also get front and rear fenders that have paint that match the main body of the bike, and also they are metal, but they don't make a lot of rattling sound when I have been riding on them, so I am happy with that. And then if that wasn't enough, this bike also comes with dual suspension. So the front suspension fork has a decent amount of travel for me. I enjoyed it. On the back, the rear suspension doesn't have that much travel, but it's definitely enough when it's combined with the front suspension and also this really comfortable seat to give you a very enjoyable ride. So I went over some rough terrain and some grass and stuff, and I was very comfortable with the ride that I was getting with this bike. So for the price tag, for a folding electric bike, the suspension is one of the best that I've used in this category. And okay, so this bike does ship as a Class 2 electric bike, meaning that it is rated to go up to 20 miles per hour. Now, Class 2s are good. You can ride them pretty much everywhere without having to really worry about a lot of regulation, but this bike is easily unlockable to a Class 3 electric bike, and in the manual that comes with this bike, they show you how to do it. You just use the display and you go into the settings. It takes a couple of minutes, but then now when it is Class 3, you can go up to 28 miles per hour. And this 750 watt motor that is powering this bike does have a peak output of around 1100 watts. So that means that this is going to be a pretty decent hill climber. But one thing I did find with the motor is that it does take a while for it to kick in when you are using pedal assist. So coming from a dead stop, it maybe took me around like 4 rotations of pedaling before I really felt the motor give me some help. So that means that when I am at a dead stop, I typically just rely on the twist throttle because you get maximum power a lot faster just using that. So that's good when you are riding in the streets and trying to keep up with traffic and stuff. So in the next version of this bike, I will like to see the pedal assist as far as that initial boost to be kind of tweaked a little bit to be better. Oh, and let's talk about the brakes. So you do get 180 millimeter Zoom branded hydraulic disc brakes on the front and the back, and they do have an integrated motor cutoff switch as well. So when you do activate the brakes, it will cut off the motor, and that will be definitely great in emergency situations where you might need to brake in a hurry. But then also the brakes are super quiet and it has some really good stopping power. So these brakes are better than some other hydraulic disc brakes that I get on bikes that cost $2,500 or more. So I'm really happy with the brakes. Okay, so now for my speed test. So this first test will be just using pedal assist. And also I do have this bike unlocked in the Class 3 mode. So let's get this thing going in 3, 2, 1, boom. Alrighty, here we go. And so again, it takes a couple of rotations for the motor to kick in. And again, I weigh around 220 pounds as well. But already on the GPS app on my phone, we're at 17, 18 miles per hour. And looks like it's pretty much even with the bike's display. And we're up to 25 miles per hour already. 26, 27, 28 miles per hour. And 28 has been the fastest that I've been able to get. Now, one thing I did notice is that if I do stop pedaling, it takes another, you can see, another about 15 rotations before the motor kicks back in. And so look, for me, if I am pedaling, trying to get up to that high rate of speed and I do stop, I'll probably just start using the throttle again so I don't lose that much momentum until the motor wants to kick back in. And all right, now I'm about to do my throttle only test. So let's get this thing going in 3, 2, 1, boom. And I love the acceleration. So the takeoff speed of this bike is really great. We're already at 12 miles per hour. So I love using this thing in the street at stoplights. You can get up to your speed quickly. We're at 21 miles per hour, 22, 23, 25, 26. And we're at 26 miles per hour on both displays here. 27 miles per hour, 28 miles per hour on the throttle. And it took like maybe a tad bit slower than using pedal assist, but on the same token, it's way easier. We're at 29 miles per hour hit for a little bit going down that hill. But yeah, this throttle only speed is really fantastic on this bike. And so let's test out the hydraulic disc brakes. Oh yeah, so really good stopping power with the brakes. Now when it comes to range, the battery inside of this bike is a 48 volt, 16 amp hour battery that comes in at 768 watt hours. And according to the company, you can get between 30 and 70 miles out of this. Now, of course, the high end of that range is going to be using pedal assist. But from my experience of using this bike with doing a mix between pedal assist, but mostly throttle, I was able to get right around like, 37, 38 miles per hour. And I was really kind of pushing this thing. So if I definitely was a little bit more conservative, I can probably see myself getting into the high 50s, low 60s with this bike. Now this bike also does have a walking mode. You just press and hold down on the minus button on the display, and that will enable the walking mode where the motor kicks in just for a little bit. And you can take your finger off of the minus button and it'll keep going, but when you're ready to stop, just press down on one of the brakes. Okay, so look, overall, I think this company has achieved the goal that they set out to do, and that is to make an affordable folding electric bike that doesn't cheapen out on the parts. But for the price tag, you are getting parts that have been kind of pieced together nicely to really make for a good bike that's not only going to be good for being able to be portable because of the folding aspect, but also the motor is powerful enough, and also the hydraulic disc brakes are really excellent, and the front suspension and the dual suspension make for this to be a comfortable ride. So this is kind of a do everything bike, and with this bike being American based, if you do need some customer service, they are very responsive from what I can see from other people that have also purchased this bike online as well. So yeah, anyway, this is the Crooked Path Rogue, and this is my review. Let me know what you think about this bike by leaving a comment down below. Make sure you hit that like button if you like this video, and also subscribe to my channel to see more e-bike videos. But also I cover a bunch of other different types of tech, smartphones, tablets, drones, all that stuff on this channel. But anyway, I'm about to head out of here. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.